Hey, good morning. Today, just want to spend some time looking at Nuxt.js. So, anyone who knows me probably knows that I'm quite at home with using React, Gatsby, Next, and that ecosystem. But one thing that has been kind of piquing my interest recently has been Vue.js. And yeah, Nuxt.js is really interesting. It's similar to the Next.js framework. Um, as I'm sure you can guess where it got its name from. It's just becoming really popular, I think, and I'm really enjoying a lot of the development, especially with their guides. They're making a lot of effort to really improve the developer experience, and that's something that I care passionately about. So I just kind of want to dive in and create a project. And if you were watching the stream yesterday, we were kind of building a knowledge base, and we're kind of running this GraphQL query to get our categories and then the articles inside of it. So it's a very simple schema, very parent-child relationship. We have a one-to-many relation to from articles to from categories to articles. Articles belong to a category, and a category has many articles. So we just want to run this GraphQL query. We just want to send a request inside of our Nuxt index page and then fetch out. So I have no idea where to start, really. The one thing that I do want to use is this awesome GraphQL client library. Um, it's relatively new, I think. I've not used it a huge amount. I've never used it with Nuxt, so this should be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in a terminal, and I'm just going to create. I don't even know how you do that with this. Normally I create things from scratch, but I think that's a bit. That's probably a bit too much for me. Um, Having not used this before, I don't want to break anything. So let's install Nuxt. Um, can I just? We'll use this. We'll use npx create Nuxt app, and we'll give this a name. What should we call this? What did we call the project yesterday? Gatsby Graph CMS Knowledge Base. We'll call this Nuxt.js Graph CMS Knowledge Base conventions. So while that's installing, what we'll also need to do is install this dependency. Supports GraphQL file uploads, works with browsers, which is what we need here, and Node.js. So when Nuxt is going to kind of compile these pages, I'm guessing, statically in the same way as Next can do. And then we may need Node if it runs on the server. I don't know if it's similar to Next in that way. I guess we'll find out. So yeah, let's just use today, so the next 20, 30 minutes, just stream going through Nuxt. So yeah, project name, we'll use JavaScript because I'm not on the TypeScript train just yet. I do see its benefits, but I seem to spend a lot more time fixing errors with my TypeScript, and maybe it's just me. We're not going to use Axios. We're going to install our own. It doesn't need to be anything. We don't need any modules. Although it would be cool to have a Graph CMS module, right? I've been looking at these, and the modules are really nice because you can just insert the modules, you install the modules via npm, and then you can install the individual module as a module in the Nuxt config, and that means you can do like this dot graph CMS, and then you've always got access to the instance of graph CMS. If anyone has built one of those before and is interested in maybe streaming together something there, please let me know. I'd love to figure that out. Let's use Prettier because I am on the Prettier train, and that's cool. We don't do tests here, and we'll make this here SSG. We'll use Jamstack hosting because we're also on that train. Yes, I want to use semantic pull requests, but for the purposes of this, I don't really care. So let's install in packages with npm now, and we should be going pretty soon. So once we've done this, it will ask you some questions. Yep, we've answered those. And then we can cd into the directory, and then we can run yarn or npm run dev. And then we can get going. So we are installing. This is going to be interesting. Some colorful output to the terminal here, which I'm loving. So let's cd into Nuxt.js, graph CMS knowledge base, and just to check the directory, yep, we've got everything there. So I'll open this up. Let's dive in and see what we need to do. I'm going to install this now just so we've got all the installs out of the way. I don't know why I copied the package name and not just that, but we'll close that. We'll just use terminals built-in terminal, VS Code's built-in terminal, and we'll slip that exact flag on there. So that -e, when you open up the package JSON, it just kind of installs the exact version, so it's not going to come with this this card here because we want to install the exact version. It's just a habit. I think it's good practice. Did this install? Yes. So we've got Nuxt and awesome GraphQL client as both of our dependencies. So it did tell us in the CLI when we installed this to run npm run dev. So let's give that a go. It's building now. We're listening on localhost 3000. Great. So it's got that name. We can see that the project's running here, and we can click on documentation. It takes us there, and then we can go to the GitHub repo as well. I wonder, actually, it does. It has an examples folder in the repo. And anyone coming from Next.js will absolutely use the examples folder on their repo. It doesn't matter how experienced you are. It's so good just to go to the repo for Next.js and go to the examples folder and see how to use this thing with all of these different things. And I haven't got to spend days and weeks and months and years just figuring out how to configure stuff in their way. I'm loving that this is in here as well. I think it's an awesome experience for developers just to kind of go in here and see how it works with things they're familiar with. So although we didn't install Axios, if you are using Axios and you're an Axios user, isn't it good to just pick up a framework and see, okay, well, let's have a look at how this works. We can go in, we can go to the page, and they've got a very small, no bullshit example. They've just got a very simple example here. That's how I use Axios. Wow, like that's cool. I haven't had to relearn everything. All the examples are just here. So there's not one for GraphQL. Maybe we could contribute to this in another stream. That might be interesting to get an awesome GraphQL client example in there, in that folder. Yes, let's do that in a stream going forward. Maybe tomorrow or the day after we'll do a stream on submitting a PR here, following all of the contributor guidelines and what have you. So let's stop waffling on and let's actually start coding. So what do we got here? Directory structure. So it works in the same way Next does. Well, you've got this and Gatsby for that matter. We've got this page here. So there's index.view, and then we've got this script. And thanks, Anthony, for liking that tweet. If you are watching, hello, and thanks for the retweet. Yeah, let's explore this a bit more. So we've got our styles, and this is quite different if you're not familiar with Vue. So the way that React tends to do things is it's just JSX, it's just JavaScript, and any kind of styling is brought in via JavaScript or other CSS files which are kind of compiled. But if you've used Next, they do have the style JSX, which is kind of similar. So you can write your styles in your component, but in Vue, we can export this template, and then we can export the script, and then we can export the style. Now, I've got very little Vue experience, so what I'm saying, just please take with a pinch of salt. But let's dive in and have a look at the pages and see if there's any interesting things we can do here. So we've got dynamic pages. That's cool. So underscore slug. That's basically going to give us the slug as a param from the params, so we can build those dynamic pages and async data. So this is probably what I need, right? Okay, cool. So async data is called every time before loading the component. It can be asynchronous and receives context as an argument. The returned object will be merged with your data object. Okay, so learn more on how async data works in our fetching chapter. Async data is only available on fetching pages. That's fine, and you don't have access to this inside the hook. Okay. So I wonder how that works with modules. I was saying before, modules is good because you can do like this.graphcms. Yeah. Right. So data fetching. Is async data on this page? Okay, so we got async data. We've got the params. You can get HTTP. I guess we could just use HTTP instead of the GraphQL client. But I really wanted to use that library, so I don't know whether we should or not. I don't know whether... Nah, we'll just use it. We'll just use it. So export data, async data. I'm just going to copy and paste this. First of all, let's just copy and paste this in here. I suppose I don't have an ID. Let's go to this endpoint and see what happens. Okay, cool. So let's see what this does, right? Let's see what this does. So we'll rename this to posts. Posts, and let's just get rid of this junk. Then let's just do the good old pre-tag. And it's not going to be like that, right? It's going to be double. I think that's right. Stringify posts. No, 2. Is that how things work? And that needs to be pre. Maybe that'll work. I'm not too sure. Hello? Can't read properly. Get of undefined. HTTP. Maybe that's not installed, that module. I knew I should have just stuck with using the library. Right, let's change this to categories, and we'll return categories, and we can await. And let's call GraphCMS, and this is where we are going to use this library now. So we'll import. Let's import this here, and we'll make a client. Like this is going to work because it's I'm using the library here instead of the HTTP module, which I'm guessing you have to kind of include in the config to say I want to use the HTTP module. I don't know. Thanks, Jonathan, for the like on Twitter. Let's have a look at what we got. So we need the endpoint, right? So we need the endpoint. Open this up. We'll grab this. So yeah, click on this to copy. Click the URL to copy. I always forget that. Now, if we change this here, and it won't be GraphCMS. We could call it GraphCMS. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. And then we need to pass in the query. So get users is our query. So client.request. Okay. So we'll call this graph.cms.request, and we'll pass in our query. We could just copy and paste that query from the graph.cms playground. So this is what I'm after. Because I'm using prettier, that is making it all pretty. Could be prettier. See what I did there? Okay, so let's now head to here. Fetch must be polyfilled or passed in new awesome GraphQL client. Polyfill. So fetch. Okay. Let's install npm install. What do I use? Think it is crossfetch. I think I've used crossfetch before. Or isomorphic fetch. I don't know what the difference is between them all now. There's so many libraries, mainly all named the same these days, or very similar, that do a similar thing. We'll just install fetch here. We'll import fetch from crossfetch. I think it's crossfetch. We could run into another problem here. We'll see what's going on. So things seem to be running. Client and service building. And we'll run it on 3000. It's not going to work, is it? Nope. Property or method post is not defined in the instance but referenced during render. Make sure that this property is reactive either in the data. Okay. So do we have to return, I've returned category, do we have to return this in some kind of object? Let's open the code sandbox here. Pages, posts, index. Nope. Seems to be fine. What do we have? Just zoom this resolution out slightly. So what do we got? What do we got? We have an error. Posts. Okay. I'm calling posts, and I renamed it to categories. So now, cool, we've got our category data. So this is coming from graph.cms inside of Nuxt. And that's cool. We're polyfilling fetch library here. I think I've got to where I wanted to get to. So on the stream we did yesterday, we had an index page that kind of iterated through our categories and then created links to each of the pages, right? So let's do the same. We'll just do the very same here. So let's copy and paste this, and this is not going to work, but it kind of gives us kind of a good structure to go from. So let's just copy that, comment that out, and I'm trying to remember how you do this with Nuxt and with Vue. It's been that long. We can do. How do we do it? List for. For of? Do they have an example? As you can probably tell, I'm not fluent with Vue, so I know it's like for, and then it's like colon equals quotes something of something, like, you know, category of categories, and then you've got access to that category. So let's just do like li v for of category of categories. This is just like guest driven development. I don't think that's right. It's already looking a bit like it's telling me off. Thanks again for the like on Twitter. There is a comment on YouTube, but I think it's just spam, which is fine. Of in, I think it's in or of. I don't know. Then let's just do category dot. What do we have? Title. Let's just see if this works. Nope. Why would that be? Ah, it's a double. It's double, right? Did we query for title? Categories.title. Can't read property title of undefined. Right. Categories. It was category title, right? I'm just looking at the schema. Yeah. Do I have to specify a key? Key. Category dot ID. Does that help us? Nope. So I think what's happening is maybe this isn't being called. Let's just stop the server and start again. So we're running, and for some reason it's not liking this. I'm probably doing something very, very obvious. That's wrong. Let's comment this out, and let's print out what we've got. JSON stringify, categories, loads of format, and then two. So titles here. I wonder why that's not working. So categories is an array, and that array has title in the object, in every object. So v4 category in categories, key category ID, and we want to show the title. Maybe we can just do this. I don't know if this will work either. I think it's tripping up before then. Cannot read ID of undefined. Category in categories. Oh, wait a minute. So maybe it's this. Okay. So yeah, I had this look like that, but looking at the IntelliSense here, it doesn't have it. I guess this is where TypeScript would have helped. So we'll do category.title. Nope. Categories and categories. Category.title. What am I doing wrong? So we've got one list item. We've got V categories. V for category in categories. What was returned here? Well, the whole bleeding lot was returned. Okay, I think I know what's going on. Okay, so we are assigning categories here. I think what we need to do is destructure categories instead, because categories is the response from GraphQL. And then now, yeah, I think we're in business now. So if we go up and we change this back to category.title. Woo! Okay, cool. Right. So we are making progress. Let's now have a look at Nuxt. The Nuxt link component. Want to take a look at our new docs. Our new docs are in beta. When I just went here. I'm guessing the search is hooked up to the old docs. Can we find it in here? Features. Not directory structure. Components glossary. Title glossary. Configuration. Features. Transitions? Nope. Concepts. Maybe it's not documented. I don't know. So let's go to the Nuxt. And yeah, so let's use Nuxt 2. And it needs to be a dynamic route, right? So we're at 28 minutes. I think I can wrap this up in the next minute or two. Let's just try and get something going. So let's close this down. So we were linking to /slug. So let's close this and let's just do this. So category link about. If we do this here, then what we should have now is we should at least have links. And they'll be going to the wrong place, but that's fine. Cool, we've got links. These are going to /about. That's cool. Next, we just need to figure out how we do this. We're probably going to be using... are we going to be using... I think we have to do it inside like this. I think. I'm not sure. Nuxt link. This is Nuxt link. 2. I just want a dynamic route. In fact, Nuxt link extends the router link. So it's just like view router link. Okay, so that is like quotes, and then you put in you put in where it's going to. You put in the name. I think you've got to name the routes. I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah, this is what I thought. So to path home, and then the params, you pass in the params. So I think this is what we need. There may be a simpler way. There may be an easier way. There may be a Nuxt way. If there is, let me know. Quite keen to learn some of the best practices. So name, let's just do this category page. I'm guessing that has to match another defined route. And then we'll say params, the ID is what will it be? And we'll use a slug, I guess. Category.slug. I don't think this doesn't look right. Yeah. This doesn't look right. And Nuxlink, I think you can just use nlink as well. I don't know if you have to have this page registered in order for the path to work. If anyone knows, let me know. Is it path? Category.slug. Oh, I'm reaching now. Hey, that does work. That's cool. So the path is category.slug. So now if we click on here, and we click on here, and we click on here, you can see in the top that it's taken us to that route. So this is pretty much what I did yesterday with Gatsby. We're at 32 minutes, pretty much from 0 to nothing with Nuxt. But it's fun. We've used the Nuxt create Nuxt app CLI with npx to initialize a new Nuxt project, and then we've created a page that fetches data from a CMS. And of course, in this case, I'm using GraphCMS. We use an awesome GraphQL client, and then we are sending the query through to fetch the data that we need. So this is pretty cool. Let's just open up package.json. I'm guessing we've got all the scripts in here to build and generate. So at this point, I'm guessing we could just deploy this to something like Vercel or Netlify because we selected that Jamstack host. And I'm guessing that changes some of the things in the Nuxt config as well. Probably is the target. Looking at this, it probably changes the target to be static. I'm guessing the other is dynamic if it's to be run on a server. I'm guessing that just tells it, export all of these files, run all the queries at build time, similar to how Next and stuff does it. So this has been fun. Probably do some more later today or tomorrow, and we'll continue. And then we'll go ahead and create all of the individual pages for those categories. So yeah, next we'll probably create a page for each of those slugs. So where is it? This path here. We're gonna have to create a page, and it's gonna be like, I don't know, category slug dot view. It's gonna be something like that based on what we're looking at the beginning of the video. But yeah, we'll figure it out. So yeah, this has been fun. Video 1 of exploring Nuxt, and we'll do a bit more later. All right. Well, any questions? Let me know. Thanks very much. Have a great day. Happy coding.